right. Welcome back, everybody. Let's go ahead and jump in. We left off on creating a bulletproof mindset, and I gave an example of a team that is near and dear to me that showed that in last night's game for anybody that had a chance to watch that. No, but watch this for a second for my Green Bay fans. One last time. I promise this will be the last time I mention it. They went into that game, talk about mindset. They went into that game knowing that no matter what happens in this game, we're not making the playoffs. Talk about mindset shift and flipping the switch and saying, you know what, we're going to spoil it for somebody else. And they flipped the switch, and of course they ended the season with a winning record, which, you know, I thought about when I saw that video. It's like, gosh, I can't play that if they don't win this game. Like that is the make or break on that, because they at least had to have a winning record, right? All right, we left off on creating a bulletproof mindset. I'm going to jump into, I actually have 20 ways for you to do so. And we just had a chance to talk about this in the VIP lunch. And I can't stress enough if you're wondering, like, Jeff, okay, this is kind of overkill. Why do you keep talking about this? Because I've been through it before. And I know how difficult it is to do the boring and mundane and routine day in, day out, already as it is. Now add on top of that an extra layer of negativity and resistance that we're going to feel based on what's happening. So I wrote down 20 ways to have, and my actual word was an untouchable mindset. Untouchable. You can write down bulletproof, whatever resonates with you the most. Because at the end of the day, once we get into the tactics, which I know that you're here for that part of it, we got to make sure this part's correct first before we get into that. So number one, ready? Under 20 ways to have an untouchable mindset, write these down, please. Number one, stop watching the news and reading threads in Facebook groups. Seriously. You understand the majority of the people that are engaging and commenting and doing all that in Facebook groups are all of the unproductive people in the industry. All the productive people are out on appointments. They're talking to people. They're meeting with new buyers. They're meeting with new sellers. Now, of course, I understand that there are some good conversations that take place. Heck, we've got our own Facebook group, the Glover U Inner Circle. Most of you are in there. And you'll notice all of our conversations in there are high-minded, right? There's no moaning or complaining or what do we do now? No, let's move forward. Let's talk to people. Let's get in front of people. Don't complicate it. Stop watching the news and reading threads in Facebook groups. Most Facebook threads today are started by or engaged by unproductive people. Number two, start listening to podcasts. Start listening to podcasts. If any of you have been on any one of our tour stops, then you know that's been something I've been talking a lot about in the last year. I actually recommend there's 5 days a week minimum that you're going to be getting in your car and you're driving somewhere. Whether it's driving to a listing appointment or driving to a buyer consultation or driving to show a house or driving to meet a client at the closing, 5 days a week. So here's what you do. You have your favorite Monday podcast, your favorite Tuesday podcast, your favorite Wednesday podcast, your favorite Thursday podcast, your favorite Friday podcast. Each podcast releases a new episode each and every week. And here's what I love about podcasts. You can control what goes in your mind. You see the title, you see the author, you have an idea of what they're going to be covering. You can control your mindset. And in most cases, you're going to uplift your mindset because you're going to pick podcasts from people like John Maxwell, for instance. I know we kept that a secret from you guys for a while on what day he was going to be on, and we kept a pretty good secret. Because there was only a handful of you that said, oh, I heard it was going to be Wednesday. No, not Wednesday. It might be Tuesday. It might be Thursday. Your app says Wednesday at 11, but maybe we're going to move it to Tuesday. You never know. Podcasts, 1 per day. Obviously, you guys are familiar with ours, the Live Unreal podcast. Each week, we drop a new episode, 20, 30 minutes of great real estate sales business knowledge. A lot of times, it's our keynotes from these events, or it's our panelists, or it's me talking about some new system we're using in our business. Every week, you have the opportunity to listen to something that's going to help you move your business forward. Once per day, you can do that. That's number 2. Number 3, if you want to have an untouchable mindset, I mean, nothing will break you kind of mindset, you have to quit hanging around negative people. Seriously. And I get it, because you want to be nice, you want to be friendly, you want to be cordial, but how nice and friendly and cordial is it by hanging out with people that's actually holding you back? You're actually doing a disservice to your family by doing so. Why do it? I get it. You want to love people and look after them, and don't get me wrong. I believe everyone deserves a second chance, and we're doing everything we can to help people who are, hey, Jeff, you know, this year wasn't the best year for me, and I'm not going to be able to make it to the summit. Hey, I tell you what, here, we're going to gift you a live stream so you don't fall behind because you need to hear this message more than ever. You guys heard me say leading up to this, it's the agents that tell me they can't afford to come to the summit right now that are the ones I'm most concerned about. Because if you can't come to something that's going to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 times your business over the next couple of decades, how are you going to make it through the next market? Quit hanging around with negative people is number 3. Number 4, worse than negative people are people who think they're positive but talk negatively about others. Stop hanging around those people too. Worse than negative people are the people who think they're positive. And by the way, if they identify as a positive person, that usually means they're a negative person. Because if you're a positive person, you don't need to talk about how positive you are. It just exudes from you. Worse than negative people are people who think they're positive but talk negatively about others. What are you doing talking about other people anyways? Number 5, to have an untouchable mindset in the new market, get to conferences. Now, that's an easy one for you guys because you're all here. But don't make this your one and done. Also, don't be a conference junkie. You know, every town has one of those. They go to more real estate conferences than they do actually selling real estate. You don't want to be one of those. My recommendation, and I've had several people come up to me afterwards and say, honestly, Jeff, I take that point very seriously. Do you have a recommendation for us? And I said, yeah, I do. No less than 4 per year, no more than 6. No less than 4. No more than 6. Now, I'm not counting like webinars in your market and stuff like that, you know, little half-day sessions here and there. Those don't count. I'm talking where you actually have to get on an airplane or you have to travel one way or another to outside of your market. No less than 4, 1 per quarter. Because that's where you're going to get a stronger mindset. Because guess who goes to conferences? The people who want to be better. The positive people who want more out of their life. Get to conferences is number 5. Number 6 on how to have an untouchable mindset in the new market, decisions over precision. Decisions over precision. Too many of you are focused so much on the precision and got to get it just right before I take action. You'll get it right eventually. The more action you take, the more precision you'll have, not the other way around. Too many of us in the audience, especially my high C's, my high analyticals, you spend way too much time on precision and not enough time making decisions. And that affects up here. Number 7, how to have an untouchable mindset. Time spent working in versus on. Write that down and I'll explain what I mean. Time spent working in versus on. In versus on. Time spent working in versus on. In other words, going on a listing appointment, meeting with buyers to show homes, making prospecting calls, following up on leads, that's all time spent working in the business. How much time are you budgeting to work on the business? And by the way, on the business includes things like mindset work, things like role playing, things like content studying other content, getting ideas for content. How much time do you spend working in versus on? By the way, as just a rule of thumb or a recommendation, you should spend at least 2 to 3 hours a week, minimum 2 to 3 hours a week working on your business. Minimum. I mean, some of the best are probably spending 5 or 6 hours a week. 2 to 3 hours a week working on your business, working on your skills. And I'm not just talking about your scripts. If you want to get better at video, watching other people who do really well with video, studying what it is they do. You want to get better at writing copy. Reading people who write good copy and studying it is what they do differently. That's working on your business versus in. Number 8, under 20 ways to have an untouchable mindset, get better at yourself first and your business second. Get better at yourself. Become a better version of yourself first and the business second. Have you identified what a better version of yourself looks like? When we do the SLS programs for brokerages around the country, day one, we start with these big poster boards and we plaster them all over walls. You guys have probably seen that on social media. And we list out, we ask the question, if I had to ask you what a better version of yourself looks like, what would you tell me? What would it look like to be a better mother? What does it look like to be a better father, a better husband, a better wife, a significant other? What does it look like to be a better friend? What would make you a better person? What does a better version of yourself look like? Personally first. And the business will flow second. Next, number 9. Those with an untouchable mindset believe they are the absolute best at what they do. Those with an untouchable mindset believe that they are the absolute best at what they do. And they actually mean it. And I'm not talking from an egotistical standpoint. I'm talking about like from a champion standpoint. Like we actually believe we have the best system. We actually believe we have the best listing presentation. We actually believe I'm the best agent to help you find a home. The best of the best believe that there is no one better than them. Number 10, the untouchable mindset tip number 10, everything that happens for you, not to you, everything in life that happens for you, not to you, has a silver lining. Look for it. Everything in life, first of all, doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. There's always something that you're going to gain. You're going to become better at A, B, or C based on what happened to you, because it actually ends up happening for you. So everything that happens for you actually has a silver lining. Look for it. Number 11, expect to win, but don't be fazed if you don't. Those with an untouchable mindset, they expect to win. It's an expectation. But they're not fazed if they don't. It's not going to ruin their day. They're going to move on quickly. Why? Because number 12, those with an untouchable mindset are never attached to the outcome. You cannot be attached to the outcome. I get it. You go on an appointment, you meet with a buyer, you meet with a seller, you give it your all, you walk out of the appointment, oh gosh, that went so great. I've got to nail this thing. I just hit a home run. And then they ghost you. What happened? Why aren't they responding to my text messages? Well, how often do you think about why that's happening? Now, I think it's good to get some feedback, which we're going to talk about, but why are you dwelling on that? Just move on. Don't be attached to the outcome. Number 13, when you do fail, always ask for feedback. When you do fail, always ask for feedback. Well, Jeff, what do you mean? You're actually asking clients for? Yes. Hey, Jeff, just want to let you know, we met with 3 of you, and we like what you had to say, but ultimately, we felt a little bit more comfortable over here with this agent. I can certainly appreciate the opportunity to earn your business, and thank you so much for that. And if you don't mind me asking, what was it that they did that was different from what I presented to you? And you'll usually get a surface level answer. Oh, Jeff, it was nothing really big. It's just, we just felt more comfortable with them. Understood. And if you don't mind me asking, what was it that made you feel more comfortable with them? Go a little deeper on that. Don't be afraid to ask for feedback. They'll tell you. They won't always give you that answer right away, but they will give you an answer if you dig a little deeper. Number 13 is ask for feedback. Number 14, once you get the feedback, act on it and practice having a short memory. You got to have a short memory in this business. Somehow I was gifted with a natural short memory. I don't know how, but I was. Ask me to remember something from 10 years ago, and I remember it like yesterday, but 5 minutes ago, forget it. We got to have a short memory in this industry. Number 15, this is a big one, especially for my agents that are doing a lot with social media. Consume less, create more. Number 15, consume less and create more. Think about it for a minute. How much time do you spend on social media paying attention to what other people are doing? You're consuming other people's social media. Well, what if we just took half of that time and put it into being creative for yourself and creating your own level of social media? Now, I know a lot of you, we've been teaching that for several years now, and those dividends have paid off, and they're paying off big. But honestly, how often do you find yourself consuming versus creating? You're going to see some point, I think after the next break, when I share with you the new schedule, what that looks like. Next, number 16, read 1 to 2 pages out of a book per day. You want to have an untouchable mindset? Start your day each day reading just 1 or 2 pages. Now, I didn't say you had to read an entire chapter. I didn't even say you have to read. I'm probably the world's slowest book reader up here. I read 1, maybe 2 pages per day. But it's just enough to get the creative juices flowing. It's just enough to help me upstairs come up with a thought. A lot of times it's something that I'll read that'll help me with my thoughts for the daily text message, which I know most of you are subscribed to the daily text message. Do you guys get those? Yes? Okay. So we'll keep those going. 1 to 2 pages a day. That's it. I didn't ask for an entire chapter. Jeff, reading is boring. I want to get on with the day. I got enough stuff to do. Just 1 or 2 pages a day. You'd never know when one thought will trigger something in you. Number 17, join or create a mindset mastermind. Join or create a mindset mastermind. These were actually a thing back in the day because we needed help to have a strong mindset. I'm recommending that now because we're going to need help to have a strong mindset. Join or create a mindset mastermind group. Heck, you've already got one built in. It's all of you right here. Could you imagine if this was your real estate office each and every day? So why don't you do it? Go get a group of people together and say, hey, we're going to create a mindset mastermind where we're going to talk every Monday at this time, and you're going to bring a mindset topic to each one of these sessions. It's going to come in handy, I promise you that. Number 18, break a sweat and get a breath of fresh air first thing in the morning. Break a sweat and get a breath of fresh air first thing in the morning. I'm not saying you have to go out and be a bodybuilder every single day. Just do something to get your heart pumping, to get your blood pumping, to break a little bit of a sweat. Heck, I mean, in the middle of winter, I get it. To get outside and do that for some of you guys who are in the north, it's a little cold. So just get out and do 10 jumping jacks and run back inside, okay? You'll get a breath of fresh air, I promise. It might knock you out. Number 19, under 20 ways to have a untouchable mindset. Know the difference between scarcity and abundance and catch yourself when you're going scarce. Know the difference between scarcity and abundance and catch yourself when you're going scarce. Because here's the deal. You could be the most abundant person in the world. You are human if you have some scarcity type thoughts. That's called life. It's called normal. You're going to have some negative thoughts entering into your mind, some scarce type of thoughts entering in your mind. How long do you hang on to them? How long do you think about them? How long do they eat away at you? Take away from... Listen, I said just in the VIP room over there, you can't possibly be positively productive while you're having a negative mindset or a negative conversation. Those two don't go hand in hand. You can't possibly be moving your business forward when there's negativity going on upstairs. So how often do you find yourself in scarcity and letting that control whatever happens next? Because you know we can't always control the first thought, but you can control the second. You absolutely can make a decision to perpetuate the problem or to move away from it. Let's keep talking about it. It's fun. Number 20, surround yourself with a high vibe tribe. Surround yourself with a high vibe tribe. You know, the language all the kids are using nowadays. Man, I don't know, they're just vibing, you know? There's just a vibe. It's a vibe. Is Glover, you a vibe? Yes. Okay. Then that'll work. So what do I mean by a high vibe tribe? I actually wrote this down. These are the people you should be seeking out in this room. Ready? Are they coachable, comma, self-aware, comma, adaptable, comma, resilient? Are they coachable, self-aware, adaptable, resilient, and willing to do whatever it takes? That's a high vibe tribe. Coachable, self-aware, empathetic, adaptable, resilient, and willing to do whatever it takes. Surround yourself with a high vibe tribe. Okay, we're going to shift gears here for a second because I want to start getting into some of the nuts and bolts of what we're going to be covering over the next 3.5 days. And we have officially gotten our thoughts. And of course, you're going to hear this permeate through the one-on-one interviews, you know, the session that Taylor's about to do. You're going to hear it in our panelists. I mean, a lot of what we're talking about is going to resonate throughout our time together. But I want to shift gears for a second because I made the claim that there's no point in getting into tactics until we're right here and right here. Live on real formula mindset. And so now we're going to talk business plan for just a second. Now, I'm not going to bore you guys because I know you guys are a fun audience. I like to have a lot of fun, and we're not going to dissect a business plan from start to finish. In fact, most of you already have your hands on our business plan. But I have pulled out 2 of our coaching clients' business plans at random. Well, I say at random, but I like what I saw. Okay, for privacy reasons, I'm not sharing with you their name. I'm just going to show some things from their plan that I was really impressed with. And before I do that, I also want to make sure you're aware, if you didn't already get a copy of our business plan, because we decided for this year we weren't going to just give it away, because we want to start creating a very tight-knit group, an exclusive group of high producers around North America. So we let all of our clients get it, of course, and if they attended the webinar, they got the PDF copy, and now that it's January the 9th, I am going to give it away to those that did not. So do me a favor, I want you to write down, if you did not get a copy of the 2023 Glover U business plan, the same one that I'm using in my business, by the way, the same one our team is going to use to sell 1,250 homes this year. If you did not get a copy of our plan, write this down, or you can do this right on your phone right now if you want. You go to gloveru.com/plan. gloveru.com/plan. Now that's selling online for $50 right now. I'm gifting it to all of you for free. The code is 2023 Summit. 2023 Summit. So when you're on gloveru.com/plan, it's going to take you into the Glover U shop, the store, where you can buy shirts and clothes and videos and all that stuff. Well, the business plan is probably the first or second one right at the top. There's a 90-minute instructional video of me presenting the plan from start to finish. There's also an actual PDF copy of the plan. It's yours for free so long as you use that code. 2023 for 2023 Summit. If you want to do it, in a moment, go ahead and do so. It's gloveru.com/plan. It's a PDF copy plus an instructional video. I want to share with you from some business plans that I had a chance to review from some of our clients. I took out some random pages of their plan. And I want to give you an idea, because I know a lot of you in this room, you've completed a plan. Have you completed a plan for 2023? Let me see your hands up real high, real high, real high. Where's my business plan? You guys completed. Of course, all the front row has completed their plan. So for the rest of you, and for those of you that have already completed your plan, I want to share with you some things that I think you should be considering adding to that plan if you haven't yet. Now, these two examples that I'm going to share did come right out of the Glover U plan, so it should look familiar. One particular individual took the plan and put it on a Word document, so just cleaned it up to look, to fit whatever look fits them. And the other individual wrote right on the actual business plan itself. So these are in no particular order. In fact, this isn't even the entire plan. It's just a handful of pages that I took from the plan. And here's my recommendation to you. I'm going to point out some things in there that caused me to say, yes, I need to make sure the audience knows that needs to be included. So I'll point those things out to you. And you can write those down, or if you want, you can take a picture of the screen when they put it up on the screen, whatever makes your life easier. So I'm going to pull up again. These are not necessarily in any particular order. These are random pieces from the Glover U business plan. And I saw a few things in there that I want to share with you that these agents did that I think can help you as well. So let's take a look at the first page here. This is an individual's daily schedule, which many of you create a daily schedule. I'm going to share with you a couple things that stand out to me on that daily schedule. One of the things that I found very fascinating, this is an agent that will sell 50 homes in 2023, mostly from social media. And when I say mostly, like 40 plus will come from social media. And I know that they will sell that many because that's what they did in 2022, or that's what they did in the last 24 months using social media. You'll notice that there's specific time set aside for content research, creation, and editing. Most of us, when we're using social media as a tool, we're just kind of posting haphazardly, right? We're just kind of posting when we think about it. Whenever it comes to mind, whenever we're at a fancy restaurant, oh, seafood tower, somebody get a picture of that. Let's get a picture of that. And then you post it. Save that photo for something else. Save that photo for later. Just because you're in that moment, you don't have to post it in that moment. You can spread it out. You can schedule it. You can see, obviously, they've got a one-on-one coaching call at 1:30 with Sarah Huffman. Sarah, where are you at? Yeah, there we go. But look, each day is budgeting time for social media. Do you know what else that means? No other wasted time for consuming content later in the day. When you're at home with your family, you're at home with your family. When you're scrolling on Instagram and scrolling on Facebook, you are consuming. This is not consuming. This is scheduled and organized. Content research, content creation. Social media is built right into the schedule. Next, I wanted to share, this particular individual also had a very strong database follow-up plan. And for those in the back, I'll read some of the things on here. Here's what I find fascinating. Those top three, January, February, and March, that is their first quarter business plan to the database, to add value to the database. When you think about what you're doing to add value to your database, are you getting that structured with it? Are you actually writing it out month by month? Different ideas of things you're going to do each month? Look at January. Email, call, mail, very important client group, something we've been teaching for the last couple years. Email, year in review. Call, I have a goal script. Mail, a CMA and letter with all sold properties. February, email, database box, text, very important client group, post from marketing. March, email, call, mail, very important client group. When you look at the value you're adding to your database, are you adding this kind of value? Are you spending the time each month? You know every single month what's going to happen as it relates to adding value to your database. And there's some more specifics of, I love at the top. This particular individual took our advice on hybrid farming. For those of you that are familiar with what we call hybrid farming, it's identifying a neighborhood that has at least a 5% turnover. So for every 100 homes, every 12 months, there's 5 homes that sell. Why would you work a neighborhood that has 2 to 3% per year when you can find a neighborhood in your market that has 5 to 6? If you're going to spend the same amount of time, the same amount of money, in theory, you're going to get double the results in a neighborhood with 5% turnover versus 2.5%. Because a lot of the neighborhoods you farm, I know, are 2 to 3% turnover. 2 to 3 homes out of every 100 homes per year sell. Go find the ones that have 5 or 6 or 7 out of 100. You're going to get double the result on the same effort. There is the hybrid farming plan. Each month, January, call and mailer. February, call. March, mailer. April, call. May, mailer. June, neighborhood event. July, call. Each month is pre-scheduled of how they're going to get business from this particular farm. Is your plan that detailed? Did you actually identify the farm and then write out in advance what you're going to do? Or do you just, whenever I think about it, I'll do it? The whenever I think about it, I'll do it is not going to work anymore. That's why I'm having this conversation with you. Next, social media and video marketing strategies. As you can see, this is a page right from the actual plan. Okay, so C plan attached here. Oh, actually, let me go back for a second. Watch YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram of others doing what I want to do. 30 minutes daily. I can promise you this will be a successful real estate agent through social media from that one alone. Because it's intentional studying of someone that's already succeeding at a high level through social media. Find new creators that are successful, ideally 1 per week. Again, what does your plan look like? How does your plan compare? Let's go even deeper. Social media plan. You think this person is going to have some success on social media this year? Say yes. Yes. Post to feed 4 to 7 times per week. 5 to 10 stories daily. Engagement stickers, reels 3 to 5 times per week. Reply to 5 to 10 stories. Respond to all DMs. Comment and like and respond. DM and message. Search 3 hashtags that ideal clients would use. Go to the recent tab. Leave a valuable comment on 5 different posts for each of the 3 hashtags daily. This is specifically how to succeed on social media. By the way, if you're wondering where does this stuff come from, this particular individual has been to every single Glover U event in the last 12 months and also has a one-on-one coach. That's where this comes from. Let's take a look at another. Oh, and then of course, their unreal life. They've specifically identified wealth, time for self and self-care, adventure, community. They've written out what their unreal life looks like. And I can tell you, based on what I know about this person, who I'm very impressed with, she's in the room, is not only has she written this out, but she now has taken it and put it on a vision board and laid out what it's going to look like. So you can see it, you can taste it, you can feel it, you can experience it. Because our phones don't just spit out cash when we make a call. We have to be reminded every single day why we come in early, why we stay later, why are we going to make that extra call. This is a different individual's plan that I also was impressed with that I want to share with you. As you may be familiar, part 6 of the business plan has the top 3 sources of business. And in this particular case, open houses and events, farming and expireds. The individual on part 7 took those 3, because you know in the plan you have the how are you going to get business from your top 3 sources. Because I'd rather you double down on what's working than continuing to introduce new ones. Most of you are familiar with what we mean by double down, but in case you forgot, I want to clear it up with you once more. Go ahead and write this down. Doubling down on a source. Write down doubling down on a source. Too many of us are trying to sprinkle around. Little here, little there. Oh, 90 days is all I have to commit to. Okay, where do I sign? Could I get out after 30 if it doesn't work? Yeah, shiny object over here. Give me some more of that. No. Pick a source that you're already experiencing some success with. By the way, the last business plan was someone who's already having some success with that particular source. And you better believe that was a double down plan. That was everything I'm going to do to double down on that source of business. So let me share with you how you arrive at doubling down. First, you look at what source of business is giving you the best ROI, or, and it could be an and, What source of business is giving you the best ROI, and or what source of business is trending in the best ROI direction for you? Either identify a source that you're already experiencing a great ROI from, and or a source that's trending in that direction. And instead of introducing a new one, double down on that one. So what do I mean by double down? Well, there's actually 3 ways you can double down. Ready? The first one is the least popular. So I'm sorry, but I have to write it down. And I know you're going to have to write it down too. It might even be hard to write it down as you're writing it. Go ahead and write down time and effort. Time and effort, AKA hard work. You can double down on hard work and get a better ROI. There's no doubt. You could work harder and get a better ROI. But life isn't just always about working harder. We talked about in the VIP lunch, but at some point in time, you're going to hit a threshold. And you need to identify, what is my definition of hard work? And where is that threshold to where it becomes not worth it anymore? What is my definition of hard work? And what is my threshold for when it's not really worth it anymore? The reality is, wherever that is for you, I can tell you that doubling down on your time and effort on a particular source that's already giving you a good ROI is going to get you even better ROI. So I'll give you, for instance, when I first started in the business, I knew nothing different. My first broker told me, Jeff, there's 2 types of people in this world. People you know and people you don't know. Which group is bigger? Well, I don't know, Tim. I guess the people I don't know. Exactly. He said, so you're going to be better off getting business from people that don't know you, especially at your age. Because at 18 years old, looking like I was 14 years old, not a lot of people are going to trust me with their real estate. So he said, we're going to make a decision to work with people that you don't know. Okay, how do I do that? He said, well, you're going to start with expired listings. Because these are the people that are the furthest down the funnel. They've already raised their hand and said, I'll pay a commission. They've already raised their hand and said, yeah, you can put a sign in the yard. They've already raised their hand and said, you can show my house as much as you want. They've already raised their hand and said, we're open to feedback and making improvements. So I made the decision to start with expired listings. And when I first started in the business, I called them for an hour a day from 8 until 9. And then at some point in time, when I was starting to have some mild success, meaning I was probably taking 4 or 5 listings per month off of expireds, minus the first month. The first month I think I took 11 listings working expireds. It was beginner's luck for sure. I didn't do it again after that for like 2 years. So minus the first month, I was taking 4 to 5 listings a month from expired listings just by calling from 8 to 9. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. If I'm getting 4 to 5 a month by calling from 8 to 9, what if I added another hour in somewhere in the afternoon or in the evening? And so it was around that time I had one of my first real estate coaches, and he gave me a challenge. He said, Jeff, for every day you don't have an appointment to go on, I want you to stay back and prospect for another hour. So now I went from 1 hour of prospecting to expireds to 2 hours of prospecting to expireds, which then took me from 4 to 5 expired listings taken per month to 6 or 7 expired listings taken per month. Well, then I thought, well, wait a minute. If I'm making these calls and I'm getting results, but on the days that I have to go on appointments, how can I get results if I'm out meeting with people? So then I thought, okay, what if I dropped them something in the mail? Again, this would be an extra effort. It also is a resource because it costs money. Another basic example would be, hey, Jeff, I had some good success from open houses last year. Great. How many deals you do from open houses? I had 10 deals from open houses. Awesome. How many open houses you do? I did 12. That's great. That's a pretty good return on your time. Yeah, and I'd like to do 20 deals from open houses in 2023. All right. How many open houses are you going to have to do then? 24 open houses. That's an example of doubling down on time and effort. Usually not a favorite, but it's always, always, always effective. The second way you can double down, and probably the most common, is on your resources. On your resources. Now, this is where money comes into play. Okay, an example would be when I was working expireds and I made the decision to add direct mail. That's doubling down on my resources. When I'm working expireds and I made the decision to hire someone else to make calls with me. That's doubling down on resources. My very first inside sales associate. We didn't even call it back then. It was a telemarketer or a prospector. His name was Ryan Kreidoff. He was in a training class that I was in while I was the trainer of a company called Coldwell Banker Schweitzer Real Estate. And Ryan came up to me during class and said, "Hey, Jeff, I'm not interested in really going out on appointments and stuff. Could I just stay back and make calls for you and you can go out on these appointments?" Well, I'd love that. Yes, let's do it. So that's an example of doubling down on a resource. So I hired Ryan to stay back and make calls while I went out on appointments. Another example would be, let's just say you're getting some good results with Realtor.com leads. And, you know, Jeff, last year when I look at my numbers, I had 14 transactions from Realtor.com. Wow, good for you. How much did you spend on those how much did you spend on Realtor.com last year? I spent about $30,000 on Realtor.com. 14 transactions for 30 grand, that's a pretty good return. Because if your average commission is $7,000 or $8,000 times 14, you spent 30, that's a pretty good ROI. Could you call your rep at Realtor.com, which the answer is no, because they'd never pick up the phone. Could you call your rep at Realtor.com and and ask them if you doubled your spend, if they would be willing to guarantee you double the amount of leads? Because that math works. Yeah, let me see what I can do. That's doubling down on resources. Don't move on and introduce other sources when you're already winning with one. But you could be winning at a higher level. Do you want to know how I know you could be winning at a higher level? Underneath number 3, because we're going to fill this in a second, just write down this question. Write down this question. Honestly, ... honestly, ... am I exhausting? Honestly, am I exhausting all options on this source of business? Am I exhausting all of my options on this source of business? All of my options. Meaning, when you look at all the things you could be doing to get business from that source, have you exhausted all of them? Number 3, way to double down is on skills. Skills. You can double down on time and effort, you can double down on resources, you can double down on your skills. And I'm not always talking practice and role play, although you know that is absolutely a foundation of my business. When I was sitting in Tim's office at my very first firm, I remember kind of scared after 40 days in the business. I said, "Tim, I got no listings, I got no sales. I don't think I'm going to be able to make it in this business." He said, "Jeff, you just have to sound like you've been doing it a long time." Was that all? Wow, thank you. Wow. I'll get right back at it then. "Tim, I'm 18 years old, I look like I'm 14. I've never listed a home. I rent an apartment. I'm still driving my Pontiac Silver Grand Am from high school. My parents, they're my friends of all my parents, or my friends, the parents, you guys get what I'm saying. They're not going to trust me. I'm young. Tim, how do I sound like I've been doing this for a long time?" And I'll never forget, he pulled out of his bottom left-hand drawer. Many of you have heard this story. I share it on tour often. It's one of the Gloverisms. He pulled out a book out of his drawer. There was maybe 5 or 6 different sets of scripts in there. It was a binder that he had put together, and it was tabbed. You know, it had like different color tabs. And he opened it up and he fanned the pages. And he said, "Jeff, these are all the scripts from the great trainers today." Now, this was 2003, so most of these trainers were from the 90s. Great ones too. Floyd Wickman, Mike Ferry, Brian Buffini. I mean, all these guys that had all their scripts. And he fanned it because, nowadays you sell 7 homes and on social media you're a CEO, entrepreneur, professional this, certified that, and this, the other. Everybody's a coach nowadays. There's only one that's doing it with you at a high level. So I fanned the pages. He fanned the pages in front of me and said, "Jeff, you need to pick 2 prospecting scripts and 1 listing appointment script from this book." Okay, so I start looking through, and I came to Floyd's script, and he's a great mentor of mine. We actually had him on our stage, which was not really much of a stage, at our very first summit in 2018. It was such an honor to be able to interview him. And the thing with Floyd's scripts is his listing presentation is 27 pages long. And so I couldn't do that because I wasn't going to write out 27 pages because I had an idea where this was going. So I kept flipping through, and I found one that was kind of short and sweet. So I pulled those scripts out and said, okay, I feel good about this one. It was the expired script and the for sale by owner script, and then the listing appointment, because he wanted me to pull out a listing appointment. I said, okay, now what, Tim? I said, now, Jeff, I want you to take these scripts, and just outside my office there's a closet with some yellow pads. I want you to take out the yellow pads, and I want you to write them out once a day for the next 30 days. Tim, what? Just write them out? Just write them out. He said, Jeff, do you want to sound like you've been doing this a long time? I do, because I'm afraid people are going to ask me my age or my experience. He said, good. Then write them out once a day for the next 30 days and come back and see me. So I do so. After 30 days, no listings, no sales. I go back to Tim. Here's my yellow pads with everything written out. Now what? He said, Jeff, you've been taking the classes on how to write contracts and hold open houses and all that, right? Uh-huh. He said, good. I'm glad we got that out of the way. Now what I want you to do is I want you to chant these scripts aloud once a day for the next 30 days. Chant them aloud. What do you mean chant them aloud? He said, I want you to hold them in front of your face and just read them aloud. Like in the office? Yes, in the office, Jeff. So this was the summer of 2003. I remember it was like July. It was hot. I'm in the back parking lot of the office because, I was in a cubicle. And no one else in the office was doing this, by the way. So I'm convinced to this day, this little training program he made up on the spot anyways, by the way. So I'm pacing around in the parking lot, just reading scripts to myself. Clients are coming in for closings, and I'm kind of ducking behind the dumpster. And after 30 days, I go back to Tim. I say, okay, Tim, I did your little project, now what? He said, Jeff, we're not done. I got one more thing for you to do. And I said, Tim, I'm running out of time. And some of you may have been there or are nearing that. And what I can tell you, when you feel like you're reaching your expiration date, meaning, and we all set one when we started, if I'm not successful by this date, then. If I'm not successful by this date, then I'm going to do this instead. Whenever you get close to that date, extend it another 30 days. And when you get closer again, figure out a way to extend it another 30 days. The challenge that we have with our industry today, which very much concerns me, and I have this conversation with our brokers and owners and team leaders, is it's too easy to have a side hustle today. See, back in the early 2000s, 2010, 15, whatever, there was no such thing. You either were full-time or you didn't work here. Now you can have 3 different jobs. Well, the problem is that those side hustles are holding you back. Those side hustles are the reason why you're not hitting your goals in real estate. I can promise you that. The fastest way to succeed in real estate is to have no other options. You have to eliminate the other options. The challenge is I get it. It's Jeff, I got to pay the bills. Great. Then you know what? Leave the business for some time. Save some money up. Come back when you can give it 100% of your effort, because you're not going to succeed in the next market on 70% of your effort. So at this point in time, I said to Tim, I'm kind of running out of time here. I've got bills to pay. I'm not making any money in real estate. He said, Jeff, just give me 30 more days and you can have the rest of your career. Sound familiar, Justin? That's one of the things I told Justin. Justin, if you'll just give me 90 days, you can do whatever you want in life. Well, as we talked about in the VIP room, everything in life is the lattice effect. We all have people that are pouring into us at a certain level or have poured into us at a certain point in time. So choose wisely the people that are pouring into you, by the way. We'd love to apply to pour into you as much as you want, by the way. So this last 30 days, he says, Jeff, here's what I want you to do. I want you to now take these scripts and go around the office and find people to role play with. All right? He said, Jeff, it's really normal in the business. There's agents in the office. They'll role play with you. And if they won't, just come back and find me and I'll role play with you. Okay, no problem. Well, 5-6 days in, it actually worked out okay. You know, I'd go down to the office. Hey, Harry, would you role play with me? Tim said it's okay. You can be the seller. I'll be the agent. Oh, sure thing, Jeff. 5-6 days go by. This is great. Okay, I got this thing down. Week 2, I'm going around the office. Next thing you know, doors are closing. Agents are picking up their phone and acting like they're talking to people. So I found myself in the last half of the month interviewing or role playing a lot with Tim. And so 30 days go by of role play. I say, okay, Tim, no listings, no sales. Now what? He said, Jeff, this was the Friday before Labor Day. Meet me on the Tuesday after Labor Day, but none of this 9:30 stuff. What are you coming in at 9:30 for? That's when all the average agents come in. Come in at 7:30, and I'll show you how to succeed with what you just did. Okay. So I met him at the office 7:30 the Tuesday after Labor Day, and he showed me how to pull expireds. And he showed me how to pull for sale by owners. And I made a decision. By the way, that was September of 2003. That was my first month that I took 11 listings, not knowing anyone, 18, 19 years old, just by actually mastering scripts and sounding like I knew what I was doing. Now, of course, I went out on a lot of appointments where I would still get questioned my age and so forth. Didn't matter. I still took 11 listings. Now, only 3 or 4 of them actually sold, but that's okay. Okay. Sometimes we have to go out and scrape our knee a little bit and learn what we should take and what we shouldn't. But the moral to that story is you probably have a skill that you need to double down on. What is it? Is it sales skills? Is it presentation skills? Is it social media skills? Is it digital marketing skills? Is it writing copy skills? There's some type of skill that you have within you that you have to double down on, and it's time to identify it if you haven't yet. This is a good week to start, because aside from what we do here on main stage, you have plenty of breakouts over the next 3 days to choose from to help you in one particular area, specifically as it relates to this. So when you're looking at your business plan, make sure you're identifying what source, just pick one. What source am I going to double down on? And then once I double down on that source, could I give it some more time and effort, or nah, I don't want to do that one. I'm good with resources. I got enough money saved up. We can invest some resources on this. I can get better at skills. Let me go watch people who are succeeding with video and pay attention to what they're doing and the type of copy that they're speaking into the camera. Time and effort, resources, and skills. I'm going to go through the rest of this before we hit our next session. This is, again, when you write out where your business is going to come from, you have to have specifics of things that you're going to do to get business from those sources. Writing out a new daily schedule. You can't possibly have a significant increase in business without a modification to your daily routine. The first thing when an agent tells me they want to go from 50 transactions to 100 in 1 year, the first thing we look at is, all right, let's take a look at your daily schedule. Let's take a look at your morning routine. Because, by the way, one thing you'll notice about our business plans, notice that they stop at lunchtime. I don't care what you do in the afternoon. If you own the morning, you'll win the day. If you master what you do from the time you wake up until lunchtime, you'll have whatever business life it is you want. You'll have all the income and all the success and all the appointments that you want. If you do the same boring and mundane things day in, day out, week after week, month after month, the more consistent you are with your morning routine, the more consistent the appointments will show up. The more consistent the commission checks will show up. So if you made a modification to your goal this year, did you make a modification to your schedule? Those two are correlated. Okay.